Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Langer at the Mic Live, another Habs postgame show. This is turning into a meme, man. Oh, man. Like, literally, I'm becoming a broken record. Groundhog Day. Every single Habs game is the same, whatever cliche or whatever expression you can think of. The Canadiens, they play another not good hockey game, but to their credit, they tie it up late after pulling their goalie. They're pulling Jake Allen, and they lose again in overtime. Yes, that shook my camera a little bit there. It was Jake Allen's 300th game, and it was also the celebrations of equipment manager Pierre Gervais' 3,000th game from last week. I think it was against the Canucks last week. But where, just I'm at a loss of words here. Just this team is just so they're just so inconsistent. They play with your emotions so much. They make you think that they're one thing, but they're really just another thing. Maybe they're just like this. These Canadiens are somewhere in the middle. They're perfectly inconsistent with they can fight back. They have the character to fight back. They're better on special teams now. They got two power play goals. The two goals they scored tonight were both on the power play, and they shut out the Canucks penalty kill. But 5-on-5, man, the defense, Ben Sherratt is still out, and it's still proving to be a problem for this defense core here. Because first period, really good first period, honestly. Really good first period. And the goal they got was another great play by Jeff Petrie, another shot hitting the post by Jeff Petrie, and another great play by Corey Perry. Like, both goals were essentially the same thing. It was shot from the point from Jeff Petrie, Suzuki scored the tying goal, but still Petrie was the one who set it up. But still, the first goal, shot from the point from Jeff Petrie, traffic in front, mainly Corey Perry, goes off the post, Corey Perry buries it. That's the first goal. And the first period, again, the Habs played pretty well in the first. Like, they were steady on defense. They weren't giving up too many odd man rushes. They were driving the play through the neutral zone. They were using their speed. They were getting odd man rushes. Like, it was a good period. They're attacking and defending at 5. They were winning faceoffs. I think it was, I'll have to check what the faceoffs ended at, but at one point in the second period, it was like 62% to 38% in favor of the Habs. So that's good. When the Habs 66% that the Habs were on faceoffs tonight, 66%. And that's really good. But then in the second period, just two, again, stupid, boneheaded shifts, and crap hit the fan again. It started with Drouin. Again, Drouin had a really good game tonight, by the way. Jonathan Drouin played a fantastic game tonight. But just still, the defense, man, just fell apart in the second period. The Adam Gaudette goal was just Weber, who is just... You talk about the issue with finding a left-handed shot or D-man for Weber. The bigger issue is that Weber is not playing like the best defenseman on this team. He's probably not even playing like the third best defenseman on this team right now. Pinches in the neutral zone. Ouellette loses his battle in the corner. I think it was Antoine Roussel on the play. And then Yoel Armia, coming from the neutral zone, having to play defense as a forward, is late covering Adam Gaudette in front of the net. Tie game 1-1. Okay. All right. You made a mistake. You think you'd bounce back, right? Well, nope. Canadiens now, it was the Kotkaniemi line, and who again played well. Kotkaniemi, Toffoli, and Anderson. Toffoli should have had like 4 or 5 goals in this game, but he just, for some reason, Toffoli and Josh Anderson, they were doing what they usually do well, except putting the puck in the net. And Tyler Toffoli just had so many missed shots, and that's another theme of tonight's game, which we'll get to in a little bit. But the Habs took like 60 plus shots on net, but only 30 of them hit the net. Like, that's half the shots that the Habs attempted either went wide or got blocked. But we'll get to that a little bit more in a bit. But just that second goal there, first of all, Jake Allen had to make a really big save on a 3-on-2, where, again, just the forwards not back checking well. I mean, when it's a 3-on-2, it's more on the forwards than the defenseman, unless it's a D-man getting caught. And on the Niels Höglander goal, it was a really nice tip by Höglander on the Nate Schmidt shot, and it was Kotkaniemi basically not boxing out Bo Horvat in front of the net. But that was just a bad shift that they got stuck in their zone for, and that's, again, because just one mistake after another. But the bigger issue to me is the fact that those are the two biggest issues, the two most consistent issues for the Habs right now. Their defense, like they're not scoring enough goals compared to the fact that they're not playing a perfect game defensively, especially now that they're down Ben Sherratt, right? So again, and then they come out completely flat in the third period after the intermission. But they started wrapping it up a little bit. Petrie hit another post, another crossbar, but every single chance it seemed that the Habs got was again missing the net or getting blocked. And they have this just stubbornness of just feeding pucks to the point and taking shots from the point with guys like Weber and Edmondson and like they get blocked all the time. First of all, they're not really that dangerous shots when they're coming from the blue line, first of all, and with no traffic. When there's traffic, sure, it works. But if there's no traffic and there's just defenders in the shooting lanes, well, it doesn't work. So, but they're still adamant and insistent on feeding the points, getting shots, trying to get shots from the point through to the net, which works when you have guys like Jeff Petrie and Romanov shooting the puck, but not Weber and not Joel Edmondson. Again, half the shots that the Habs attempted tonight, 69 or 70 something shots on goal that they took, 31 of them got to the net. Half of them. Just half of them. And when you're playing, again, when you're not playing perfectly defensively, which the Habs are playing far from perfectly defensively right now, you're going to have to get more goals. You're going to have to score more goals if you're going to win hockey games. But look, again, credit the Habs for fighting their way back again and tying it up. Credit for, well, I mean, that was a stupid play by Jake Virtanen punching Tyler Toffoli in the face and taking the penalty. The Habs couldn't take advantage of that play, but they did take advantage of, who was it that threw it out of play again? I think it was it Tyler Mott that threw it out of play? Yeah, I believe so. It was Tyler Mott that threw it out of play. But either way, look, what is encouraging, again, special teams and Suzuki, by the way, who 30 seconds before that received a perfect pass. I think it was from Drew or Petrie. It had to have been one of those two guys. Receives a perfect pass right on his stick. Broken stick, of course. So it was so nice to see Suzuki get that second chance and take a really nice shot again with Corey Perry, who is just, I'm a broken record here saying every single game, I can't believe that he wasn't in the lineup for every game at the beginning of the season. Okay, maybe he was signed a little bit late, and because he was added to the taxi squad, sure, that's fine, okay. It took him a while to I guess, to become a regular player, but now you see what you've been missing with him taking so long to get into the lineup, and now you see that he's a top 9 player on this forward group right now. He is at this point, that fourth line should be Byron, Evans, and Armia, and Perry should be at worst on the third line with Suzuki and Toffoli, or Kotkaniemi and Gallagher, or Kotkaniemi and Anderson, or Drouin, or whatever the third line is. That is the lowest point that Perry should be in the lineup, because he just has an ability, that the offensive ability that very few players on this team, on this Habs team, have. So that's the game. So that's regulation. So again, missing the net. Oh, and one more thing with the Habs forwards just do that really, really as a former goalie myself, as a former high-level goalie and a former goalie coach, again, we had Stéphane Goyette on the show talking about Carey Price, and Carey Price turned his game around since then. That was 2 weeks ago. We had Stéphane Goyette, my former goalie coach, on the show. But the best way to beat goaltenders at all levels is not necessarily with hard, accurate shots, but more with quick, deceptive releases. And the Habs, whenever they get into the slot, the reason why they miss the net, they're not shooting accurately, fine, but the reason why so many shots are getting blocked is because they have chances to shoot the puck from the slot, but they hold on to it a split second longer, which allows the D-man or a forward to get into the lane, or it allows the goaltender to know where the puck is going, because you take that extra second or two instead of just letting it go on net. But you know what? Suzuki, again, in that third period there, he had a really good chance also early on. Demko made a really nice save early in that third period. But yeah, just the Habs, that's something that when you talk about Cole Caulfield, I keep bringing it up. That's something I'm hoping that Cole Caulfield, if not this year, in the near future, will bring to this forward group that the Habs just lack right now with their forwards. So again, that's regulation. That is regulation. Now let's get into overtime. It seems like the Habs, again, they started Byron, Deneau, and Jeff Petrie in overtime again. What's the definition of insanity, Albert Einstein? Doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting different results? Well, in Dominic Ducharme and the coaching staff's defense, it kind of worked because Deneau won the draw. They won the draw. They controlled possession, and it seemed like their plan was just to say, screw overtime. We're just going to kill this off and pray for do our best in the shootout. And they're not too good at shootouts either. They're 0-3 on the year, so that might not be a great plan either. But even though they controlled possession, Deneau turned the puck over, and he thankfully made a really good defensive play, and the game could have ended prematurely there. But then at least it seemed at first that their plan of starting Deneau, Byron, and Petrie at least worked at first because they were able to get Toffoli, Tatar, and Drouin on the ice as a second wave, all three forwards. But even when they had all three forwards on the ice, they seemed reluctant to attack. They just seemed perfectly content with killing off overtime, which if you're going to do, sure, because you haven't lost. This is the 9th time that the Habs lose a non-regulation game. 9 times. In overtime or shootout, the Habs have lost all 9 times. By the way, we have a comment from Noah Siegel London here. Ducharme needs to stop playing Deneau in overtime. Only Suzuki, Kotkaniemi, Anderson, and Toffoli should be on ice during as the forwards, and also only use Petrie and maybe Romanov as defensemen. I agree with that, but the problem is it just seems that no matter who is on the ice for the Habs right now, it just doesn't end well. Like it just doesn't work in overtime for them. It just doesn't. And it's probably at this point more of a team confidence issue more than anything. But man, like that was a great play, by the way, by Drouin to spring Josh Anderson loose on a breakaway. And that's where Josh Anderson, as great as he's been so far for the Canadiens this year, you got to bury that, Josh Anderson. You got to bury that breakaway. The whole team needed that. And you saw Josh Anderson's frustration on the bench after that. Friggin' pounding, just slamming his stick in frustration on the bench over there. But that's just one where you need, I feel like when he missed that shot, like it was almost like the word, like when the Canucks came back with JT Miller, like that, you almost could have, it's pretty much popped the balloon of any positivity that the Habs could have possibly had in that overtime. And surely enough, JT Miller beat both Tatar and Nick Suzuki all by himself and Jake Allen all by himself and scored the overtime winner to give the Habs once again their 9th loss outside of regulation. Man, honestly, again, I personally just, it's mental. I mean, my only answer is just they have to practice it. They have to practice it. They have to, the same way that they take time towards fixing the power play and penalty kill or 5-on-5 or systems or flow drills, whatever they do in practice, they have to dedicate practice time to 3-on-3. They have to. It's the only way. And the good news is I feel like this is a type of thing where if the Canadiens can just win one game in overtime or one game in a shootout, boom, that will just completely rejuvenate their confidence. It will completely rejuvenate their confidence. Just the same way Phillip Deneau hadn't scored since February 29, 2020, which, by the way, was also the last time the Canadiens won a game in overtime or shootout. February 29, 2020, and I was at that game. It was where the Habs blew a 3-0 lead to the Carolina Hurricanes, and Jeff Petrie scored the overtime winner on a breakaway. And I was also at, I think, my previous Habs game that I went to before that was in Dallas against the Stars in 2018 on New Year's Eve, where Deneau scored 2 goals, not one, but 2 goals. Phillip Deneau scored, and Jeff Petrie scored the overtime winner in like the first 30 seconds or something. The Habs beat the Dallas Stars 3-2 on New Year's Eve 2018. So maybe I got to start going to games for the Habs to win in overtime. I don't know. But man, that's my only answer is they got to practice it. They have to practice it. They have to get, whether it's by luck or by chance, like they have to get that one win under their belt, that one overtime win, that one shootout win, just to give them a little bit of confidence to get themselves feeling that they can do this, that they can win a game outside of regulation. And maybe things will be better after that. But man, like, look, if the Habs, the Flames won tonight against the Leafs, which is good that the Leafs lost, but also bad that the Flames lost, because guess what? Now the Flames, they're right in the rear view mirror of the Montreal Canadiens for the last playoff spot. And the Habs, they're just making it really tough on themselves to make that fourth and final playoff spot in the North Division. They really are. They're just doing everything they can to make it tough on themselves. Like, again, just with their lapses in the defensive zone, them missing the net. And honestly, I find it ironic how the Habs were thought of. By the way, we have a comment from a regular viewer and listener, Roger Delaney. Great view, love the passion. More views, should be watching their loss. Hey, honestly, whoever tunes in, I'm just thankful and appreciate those who tune in and watch. And of course, leave a comment and give a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel here for more of my commentary. But yeah, just I appreciate those who tune in and join me on these post game shows and that tune into my shows on my podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But still, thank you so much, Roger. And again, I find it ironic, to finish the point, how the Habs at the beginning of the year were thought as a really good 5-on-5 team, but weak on special teams, weak on PK, weak on the power play. But now it seems to have flipped. Now it seems that the Canadiens really good on the power play, pretty good on the penalty kill. I mean, they've given up some power play goals in recent games, but decently good on the penalty kill. But just 5-on-5, very, very inconsistent. And not to mention, now all of a sudden, good when they pull the goalie. Good at 6-on-5. Good at 6-on-4. Game, you're down by one goal. You need one goal to tie it with a minute and a half left. And they tie it all of a sudden. Where was that the last 3 years? Where was that? All of a sudden, the Habs are good at 6-on-5 situations. So I guess that's good, because you know what? You can also then again say that the Habs could have very well lost tonight's game and Wednesday's game in regulation, but because of their ability to fight back and tie it up with the extra man at 6-on-5, they got back into it and they at least forced overtime. But if they just have to find a way to win that first overtime game. And yeah, again, Flames won tonight, beating the Leafs, and honestly, I haven't quite checked the updated standings, but look, these games, these 4-point games every single night within the division, they just get bigger and bigger as the season goes along, you know? And yeah, look, Noah Sigurdsson again, the inconsistency is very stress-inducing. Yeah, I agree. And it's like, remember Andre Kostitsyn? What was Andre Kostitsyn's biggest flaw when he was a Montreal Canadian? I think, what was it, 2008 till 2012 or 2007 till 2012, whatever it was, is he was consistently inconsistent. He would show up, he would score like these snipes or just be a bull on the forecheck and just score these clutch goals when the team needed them, Andre Kostitsyn. But then he would disappear for 10 games and you would be on a milk carton and you'd have no idea that he played. So anyway, one more thing I guess I want to look at is I actually tweeted out a question at Mike Langer on my on my Twitter account. I tweet on Twitter, not on Instagram, but yeah. At Mike Langer, I tweeted this morning a question. Should Ryan Poehling, with how he's playing in Laval, get called up to the Montreal Canadiens to replace Jake Evans as the fourth line center? And a lot of people said no, because the time that he has with Joel Bouchard is valuable and that he should develop. Oh, by the way, also, I believe Jordan Harris, right? Jordan Harris, the prospect in the NCAA, is they already got eliminated from the playoffs, the NCAA playoffs, and he is poised or expected to maybe sign his entry-level deal with the team this weekend. But that's another story. That's we'll hopefully he does, and hopefully he doesn't become a college free agent. But anyway, back to Jake Evans and Ryan Poehling here. So a lot of people said Ryan Poehling should stay in Laval and work with Joel Bouchard, and I agree, because he's finally getting his stride going, finally getting his game going consistently, and he should dominate in Laval before he gets a shot in the NHL. But then again, what are you going to do? All of a sudden, this fourth line that is supposed to be a part of this Habs' great depth that they have, well, guess what? Corey Perry played 11 minutes, which is weird to me. Corey Perry should play more. Jake Evans, he had, I think, like maybe 2 shifts in the third period. He finished with 6 minutes of ice time, 6 minutes and 26 minutes of ice time. Paul Byron finished with 10 minutes and 27 seconds of ice time. So when you're talking about depth, that shows that you're lacking depth. That shows that you're not trusting your fourth line to do things. And I'm not saying they should do more things because they are not threatening offensively whenever they're on the ice. Again, talking about Paul Byron, Jake Evans, and Corey Perry's an offensive threat, sure, but Yoel Armia isn't, and he should be on that fourth line. So, but yeah, that begs the question, how much urgency is there to call up Ryan Poehling? And again, how much urgency is there to call up Cale Fleury and replace Xavier Ouellet, who had his second iffy game in a row? I'll leave you guys on that. Honestly, at that point, just leave a comment, whatever you think in the comment section. Should Ryan Poehling get called up, and should Cale Fleury get called up to replace Xavier Ouellet? But I'm going to leave it at that here on this Langer at the Mic Habs postgame show. As usual, if you enjoy my commentary, give me a big thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. Also, give me a follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram, both at Mike Langer. And this has been a Habs postgame show here on Langer at the Mic. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to see you again tomorrow night, which will hopefully be a Habs win. And maybe if we're really, really, really lucky, it'll be a Montreal Canadiens first win of the season in overtime or a shootout. But hey, we'll see. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and see you again tomorrow night.